All right, my friends. I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, so let's wait for those tubes to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet before we go ahead and get started. The tubes must be working for the internet, on the internet, and it looks like they are. That's tremendous news. We've got our friends on YouTube are here. Locals is clicking over. We got Rumble's alive. What's up, Telegram? Everything is working. It's a beautiful Wednesday. That's tremendous news. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we are taking a tour around several different Trump prosecutions, starting with Jack Smith. Now, of course, this guy's in charge of two different prosecutions, the Florida classified documents case and the J6 case. And he is now being probed. We have Representative Elise Stefanik, who is a representative out of New York. She's also the GOP conference chair. She sent in a complaint as a civilian, not as a representative, I believe. And she is sending this into the DOJ, to the Office of Professional Responsibility. And she is demanding an investigation and an inquiry into Jack Smith because of his election interference and the fact that he's prosecuting Joe Biden's political opponent, and the fact that he timed them very conveniently to be launched and demand trials right in the middle of 2024. Isn't that fun? So we'll go through this. We'll see what's inside her complaint, and then we'll see what's happening out of Florida, because, man, things are getting a little hot over there. On May 8th, there's going to be another hearing and a status conference, and you see Judge Cannon is slowly, I think, unwinding or unveiling a lot of what Jack Smith has been attempting to cover up in this facade of a prosecution. And so we'll see what her order said, because it is, I think, going to lead to some interesting court proceedings next week. Then we'll turn our attention to Colangelo. You remember him. He's Joe Biden's former prosecutor. We have talked a lot about this guy. He's kind of the sleeper agent. No one really knows who he is. Fani Willis, they put front and center. Alvin Bragg, they put front and center. Tish James, they put front and center. But the person behind them all is really Matthew Colangelo, and ultimately Joe Biden and the DNC. And so Colangelo, we've been following the bouncing ball, has been with Obama, has been with Tish, has been with Biden, and then joined Bragg. Weird. So we have another investigation afoot. This is from Jim Jordan and the Judiciary Committee in Congress. So they sent a letter over to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. And Merrick Garland, of course, we'll see what he does about any of this, if anything. Weissmann, this was an interesting clip. He says, he kind of proves our point here. He says that Cohen was like a dog with a pheasant. He's commenting on the Alvin Bragg case, which is where Colangelo currently is. I mean, he was with Tish before he was with Joe. He may have been behind a lot of the classified documents, J6 stuff, who knows. But Cohen was like a dog with a pheasant, says Andrew Weissmann, which we kind of agree with that. He was sort of creating, our thesis of the case is that Cohen's the person that's creating all of this so that he can get paid. He wants to be like Mr. Keith Davidson, like negotiate all these deals and, you know, get a nice cut off the top, 45%. Woo, that's a lot. So now Cohen is like, oh, I can do that too. Let me facilitate these deals. I'll be the guy who negotiates on behalf of Trump, right? So he's trying to be this negotiating lawyer and get deals done, but got caught up in it and now tries to blame it all on Trump. Not true. We also have Alina Habba in the House. She says that Trump trial is, of course, a hoax. And so we'll see what she says and get some brilliant analysis from her. We also have Fani Willis. She not only skipped her debate, so this was her podium. All right, that's Fani Willis right there. She's definitely not at the podium. If she were there, you'd know. And she didn't show up. And her opponent, who is just about as liberal as she is, maybe worse. So we're going to play a clip or two of that guy. And he was just pointing to this empty podium. So not only is Fani disrespecting her voters by paying her lover almost $1 million, but she also just doesn't show up for the debates, rubbing the voters of Fulton County, rubbing the voters of Georgia's faces right in it. Empty podium Fani. Perfect for her. Now, she's being sued. This person is a representative out of Georgia, and she says, this is a pretty long complaint here, that Fani has essentially allowed a stalker to continue to harass this woman. Says that I have made multiple complaints. We have filed, there've been criminal charges against this dude. This dude just keeps showing up at her place of residence, at her business, and all the things. And she's like, Fani, you have a responsibility to actually be a prosecutor, but I don't know why. Fani, for some reason, is like, no, he's been punished enough. He'll release him. He'll be back at your house tomorrow. He goes, I don't know. So she sued him, or suing Fani. We'll read through her complaint, see what's inside. It just shows what a total disaster. It's total disarray there in Fulton County. And so we'll see what is inside all of that and more. But of course, my friends, we're grateful to have you here and with us. As you can see, we got 3 great segments to attend to. And before we jump into it all, of course, we've been following this story about milk and about bird flu being in milk. Last week, we talked about it on Politico. It was a Politico story. But now there's also Good Morning America that's talking about this story. Federal agencies and state partners investigating outbreaks of a highly pathogenic avian flu, bird flu. FDA says it discovered fragments of the virus in some samples of milk. Not good. An update from the FDA. The agency said it tested milk samples by polymerase chain reaction, found the presence of fragments of the virus, which is not the same as the infectious virus, currently poses no increased risk to human health, so don't worry about it. FDA said based on the available information, pasteurization is likely to inactivate. Likely, good. However, the process is not expected to remove the presence of the viral particles, says the FDA. All right, so that doesn't sound real great. So, of course, we know what the last pandemic felt like and how that all unfolded. We don't want to go through that again. And so we want to be prepared. And one way we can be prepared is with our friends at the Wellness Company. And we need to talk about life-saving medications so that you can have them on hand when you need them. That's why the Wellness Company has a contagion emergency kit. It's the only kit of its kind, and it's a prescription contagion emergency kit from the Wellness Company. It's going to provide you with a selected assortment of effective medications, different things for bird flu, COVID, other respiratory illnesses. We got things like ivermectin are inside, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pax, Tamiflu, budesonide with a nebulizer in there. So you can rest assured that if you need any of that stuff, for whatever reason, whatever pops up, you have it on hand and you have a guidebook so you can know how to use it. Now, it's backed by research from experts like Dr. Peter McCullough, and this is a kit that's a must-have. Every American should have at least one of these puppies, and it takes less than 2 minutes to go and get it ordered. Very easy. www.twc.health/Robert. And use code Robert to purchase your kit. Get 10% off and free shipping. And it's going to cost you less than a single doctor visit. Safeguard your health. Go to www.twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert at checkout. And these kits are only available in the USA. And the links are all in the description below. We want you to be healthy. Check out the Wellness Company. And the links are in the description. All right. Now, without any further ado, my friends, let's get into business on the day, because we're talking about Jack Smith here and how he's being probed now. See if he likes it. Jack Smith being probed for election interference, and this inquiry comes courtesy of Representative Elise Stefanik, who has sent a letter over to the Office of Professional Responsibility, and we'll see if they do anything about it or if they care. Now, this comes from her personal account, right? She's a representative from New York, but she's sending this from her Elise Stefanik account, not the representative account. She says, all right, guess what, Jack? I just filed an official ethics complaint against Jack Smith with the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility. Yeah. For illegal election interference. Says it's obvious to any reasonable observer that Jack Smith is trying to interfere with this election. And I'm very happy that at least one Republican's talking about it. And to stop the American people from electing Trump. Now, at every turn, he has sought to accelerate his illegal prosecution of President Trump for the clear, if unstated, purpose of trying him before the election. The DOJ's own policy clearly prohibits Smith from doing that. And as a DOJ employee, he's bound by those policies. And there's some argument about whether he is an employee or what his role is. Nobody really knows. Moreover, when the district court imposed a stay on the proceedings, Chutkin, Smith and his office ignored it. They continued to file discovery documents. Yeah, we know. We covered it. Smith's, and then they got scolded. And they got, told don't do that. Smith's conduct has brought disrepute to the DOJ. That's true. And the entire federal government. even worse than it already was. And so the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility should discipline him for this conduct. And so let's take a look and see what Ms. Stefanik has submitted, sending this to Jeffrey Ragsdale, counsel from the Office of Professional Responsibility. And we have a sneeze that's about to blow my gaskets in my brain. We'll see if we can avoid it. All right. Hey, Viva's here. What's up, Viva? We got Office of Professional Responsibility gets this letter from Ms. Stefanik. She says, all right, professional responsibility people at the DOJ, so-called professional, says, Mr. Ragsdale, I write today to request an ethics investigation of Biden Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith for abusing the resources of the federal government to unlawfully interfere with the 2024 presidential election. Says Jack Smith's multiple attempts to rush to trial the federal J6 case against the president violated longstanding and explicit justice policy. And further, Jack Smith's repeated violations of the U.S. District Court for the stay proceedings are a lawless breach of trial ethics and lawyerly conduct. Yeah. And Jack Smith's actions have brought disrepute to the DOJ and the federal government entirely, and he should face discipline appropriately. And so let's break some of this down. Remember that Chutkan said you are on a stay. Trump appealed this. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Jack kind of fought it and then didn't fight it. But it went up there. And as it was at the Court of Appeals, Jack really wanted to expedite it, right? He tried to actually leapfrog the Court of Appeals and go directly to SCOTUS and get out of here. And then, we got ultimately there and we heard oral arguments on it. But while that was happening, when you have a stay based on immunity, it stays the proceedings. That's the whole point of immunity. If you're immune, you got to settle that issue before you can move on. Being immune immunizes you from the pain of the process, not just from the conviction. It means you don't have to go through the process. So that means everything stops until you settle that. It's a threshold issue. So Jack didn't care. And we were covering this. We read through all the filings here. Jack just continued to file motions. We're like, okay, that's fine. Trump can just put them on a desk and not look at them because everything is stayed. That's the meaning of a stay. Somebody should have told Jack Smith what that means when he was at the International Criminal Court. Stefanik says, all right, listen, they're attempting to accelerate this trial, to expedite it in violation of the DOJ policy. And remember, when we were talking about the Joe Biden investigations and how the DOJ was looking into Hunter and the Hunter laptop and all this crap, and they were saying, oh, no, it's too close to the election, so we can't investigate anything, right? Don't even disclose any of it to anybody. That's what all the whistleblowers were telling us. Bury it until after the election. Then after the election, Joe Biden comes over, takes charge, and suddenly all the investigations kind of evaporate. Then we get whistleblowers who come out and expose it. So the opposite is happening here, right? They are not giving Trump that same courtesy. There's a policy. Don't try someone in an election year. They're like, oh, perfect. How about March before the primaries? And then, of course, that got continued based on the appeals. But here's what Stefanik says. Listen, in June of 2023, so-called professional responsibility person, Biden's Jack Smith obtained an indictment against Trump. Now, the indictment charges Trump with several offenses in relation to the J6 riot, right, on January 6th. Now, remember when J6 happened? Oh, yeah, J6, 2021. President Trump at that time, or now, is now the presumptive Republican nominee for president, having won enough delegates to secure the nomination on March 12th. And as we'll demonstrate, Jack Smith is trying to expedite this in order to influence the election in November. And this conduct violates the DOJ's own justice manual to which Jack Smith is bound, saying the Code of Federal Regulations tell us accordingly. Now, Section 985.500 says that, quote, federal prosecutors may never select the timing of any action for the purpose of affecting an election. Clear as day. Or for the purpose of giving an advantage or disadvantage to any candidate or political party. Now, Jack Smith violated this rule when in August of 2023, he asked Judge Chutkan for a January 2nd, 2024 trial date. She says, there are 13 million pages of discovery for Trump to review, plus thousands of hours of camera footage. Now, prosecutors bringing a case of this complexity with so many consequential and novel legal issues to sort out would normally never seek to bring a trial within 5 months, right? It's insane. So to go from June to a trial in January, right? When you've got 13 million pages of material. And when this originally came out, it was like 8 million. And we did the calculations here. We had I think it was 8 or 9 Washington monuments of copy paper stacked on top of one another, delivering to Trump's office. Here you go. Here you go. Here's another wheelbarrow of crap. So in other words, they get, just to see how unfair this is, right? They come out and tell us, we're honest justice prosecutors. We care about fairness. They've had, so according to this case, right, August 2023, so 2.5 years to investigate from January 6th onward. And they get all of that to build their case, create all of this discovery and evidence. Then Trump gets 6 months to review it and prepare his defense. It's insane. It's not even remotely fair at all. The only reason to push for such an early trial date was to work to get the case tried before November. And the DOJ manual clearly forbids Jack Smith from taking any action on that basis. Now, Biden's special counsel Jack Smith next violated the DOJ provision when he asked the Supreme Court of the United States for a writ of certiorari before judgment. Remember, he was like, I'm so nervous. He says, can you please jump over the Court of Appeals? Leapfrog them. Says this extraordinary petition sought to bypass the normal appellate process because he's like, I got to go fast, man, which involves a decision by the Court of Appeals panel and possibly review by the en banc court, the whole Court of Appeals in D.C. Now, Jack Smith, he was crying about this to SCOTUS. It's imperative for SCOTUS to grant my highly unusual request, or what else? What's the damage? And they were never really clear about this. What are the consequences if we don't do this, Jack? But on December 22nd, the Supreme Court denied Jack Smith's petition. Sorry, buddy. Now, that Jack Smith was solely motivated by his desire to interfere in November was effectively proven 2 months later, right? If this is about justice, why can't these cases happen after the election? Right? I mean, what's the problem? Trump's going to come in and investigate or something or cancel these? Is that the thing? Oh, so it is a little bit about politics, huh? So in February, President Trump petitioned for cert based on the issue of presidential immunity. We've been following that very closely. We have all the footnotes down here. Telling us Biden, then, special counsel Jack Smith, having supported cert just 2 months earlier, then reversed himself and opposed the Supreme Court accepting the case. So he's like, can you please go in here and settle this right now? And then when they denied him, then he came back when Trump was petitioning and he says, now don't accept it. So Jack Smith effectively repudiated his own arguments from 2 months earlier. Little explanation for this. Why did he reverse himself with this naked assertion? He said the nation has a compelling interest in the prompt resolution of this case, right? More stupid lefty platitudes. What is our interest? Making sure Trump is convicted a felon. What does the nation have an interest in that? So that they can call him a felon and vote for him accordingly? Is that interest more important than Trump's right to due process? Interesting how we have to balance those out. Now, aside from the upcoming election, what compelling interest does the public have? Do we need money from him? Is he going to commit another crime again? Is he going to abscond? Do we need closure because there's victims here? And the victims are named victims who need restitution what's the compelling interest of the whole nation? Because I'm part of the nation. I thought I was. And I have a compelling interest as a citizen in ensuring that we don't have tyrannical prosecutions against anybody. Everybody should be able to have due process afforded to them and to review the evidence that's brought against them in a fair court of law, in a fair demographic with a fair jurisdiction. None of that's happening here. So in fact, what Jack is arguing, I think, is against our interest as a nation, quite frankly, and they're willing to break the glass of justice in case of emergency because of Trump. What kind of precedent is it that they get 2.5 years on one side and you get 6 months with 13 million pages of documents? And let's be clear, that 13 million pages is an insane number. You may not, it's hard to put that in context, but it's insane. And there was a case for context that had 7 million pages, took 6 years to litigate. And you know what case that was? Walmart versus Visa. So Trump, as a solo defendant, as charged as a citizen, has 13 million pages that it took our feds 2 years to gobble together. It's a dishonest tactic, right? They know he's never going to be able to go through it all. They're burying them in materials. It's like, oh, you want discovery? Here, have all the discovery you can possibly handle. So in essence, you really get no discovery, right? If you get too much discovery, there's nothing in there. It's like your discovery's on the internet. So, okay, well, thanks for that. So why should this interest, based on an unstated reason, here you go, override the due process rights of a criminal defendant? I should finish reading before I start opining. It says, moreover, if the case were so important that Jack believed that SCOTUS should take the extraordinary step of granting cert before the Court of Appeals could even weigh in, how could he now argue that the case is suddenly not important enough for a normal grant of cert? What changed? Well, the only way to reconcile these filings is to recognize that his obvious goal was not to seek justice or the neutral application of the law, no, but rather to get Trump and to get him before November. So if the court then if SCOTUS accepts Jack when he wants to leapfrog the Court of Appeals, they'll hopefully give him the ruling he wants and accelerate the case. Only reason to do that is so he can try Trump before the election. He's trying to go fast. Then, when the Court of Appeals gave him the ruling that he wanted, right, they came back down and said, okay, no, Trump is not immune. The case can proceed. Then he said, Trump appealed for cert. Then they responded, don't grant Trump. No, the Court of Appeals is fine. Everything's fine, because everything was back on track. So he wants it both ways. The only justification is because he's trying to accelerate this to hit Trump before the election. Now, Smith and his team have claimed that they're not in violation of the DOJ. He says, no. The relevant provision applies only to the timing of the indictment itself. And not to cases that are already being litigated, right? Little exclusion there they've carved out for themselves. Now, this is an implausible reading. If you just read it, she says it's pretty easy. It says any action by federal prosecutors or agents, including but not limited to investigative steps, criminal charges, or statements. Now, on its face, Section 9 applies to the actions by Jack undertaken in the course of prosecuting this case against Trump, including the attempts to obtain a preposterously early trial date, as well as filing an extraordinary request for cert for judgment. It says Jack Smith has not talked about the election in his filings because it is obviously an improper reason to expedite Trump's trial. But Jack Smith's actions, leave no doubt that this election is driving his timing. No other plausible reasons exist for explain why he's rushing this case against a criminal defendant. And remember, Judge Chutkan said nothing. She's, this election doesn't matter to me at all. I don't care about it a bit. Okay, so it's irrelevant. So then you only care about due process. So he should have the same amount of time that any other criminal defendant gets in a case of this complexity with these new novel issues. Says this is inconsistent with their usual practice. Now, Biden's Jack also repeatedly and deliberately violated the district court's stay of proceedings. Chutkan, right? When this was on appeal, Chutkan said, well, it's on appeal, so we can't have this in our courtroom. The ball is not in two places at the same time. It was with D.C., now it's up in the Court of Appeals. When Trump appealed the D.C. interlocutory order denying his motion to dismiss based on immunity, Chutkan issued a stay of proceedings. Why? That's required by SCOTUS precedent. And so Chutkan rightly stayed any further proceedings that would move this case towards trial and imposed additional burdens of litigation on the defendant. If you're immune, you're not only immune from the conviction, but you're immune from the process, because the process is very painful. You have to get lawyers. You have to spend a bunch of time. It takes opportunity costs away from what you could be doing in your business, with your family, whatever. But Jack Smith repeatedly flouted this. The case was stayed. The ball was in the Court of Appeals, but Jack Smith didn't care. First, Jack Smith served 4,000 more pages of discovery on Trump. Here you go. Here's some more. And then after SCOTUS rejected his petition for cert before judgment, says, can you please grant this and leapfrog the Court of Appeals? Jack Smith filed a motion in limine in Chutkan's court, which is a preliminary motion seeking to do something before the trial starts. And again, this case was stayed. There was a pause on this game, right? The game is paused. You go out to the kitchen to refill your soda, and your friend's playing the game, collecting all the coins. You're like, what? So this is ridiculous. Jack Smith did so despite representing to SCOTUS in his petition that the case is now on hold, right? So he tells the Supreme Court the case is on hold. Simultaneously, he's filing stuff. No, I'm not playing this game. No, I'm not playing. Meanwhile, he's collecting all the coins. If Jack Smith wants to speak out of both sides of his mouth, as he does, he should face the disciplinary consequences for those misrepresentations. We'll call them lies. Says the DC rules of professional conduct prohibit Jack from knowingly disobeying an obligation under the rules of the courts. Now, Jack Smith's refusal to abide by the district court stay of Chutkan violates this rule. And Jack Smith's assertions to the Supreme Court that the lower court matters were frozen pending the circuit's disposition of Trump's appeal serve as compelling evidence that Jack knew that his filings violated the order. Now, and I agree with that. It was reprehensible. It was misconduct. But he's in D.C. They don't care. Chutkan's like, just don't do it again. The conduct strongly supports the opening of an ethics investigation to hold Jack Smith accountable for this misconduct. Now, Jack Smith emphatically said, he said this all the time, no one in this country is above the law. Now, if that's true, then he should be open to and welcome to an ethics investigation into his conduct that on its face violates and implicates DOJ policy and multiple rules of professional conduct. Now, Biden's Jack, highly unusual and clearly improper attempts to expedite this are blatant violations and evidence of his partisan attempt to influence the 2024 election. And so thus, Mr. Ragsdale, your office should open an investigation into Jack Smith's apparent violations of Justice Department standards and his other ethical duties in Biden's special counsel's Jack Smith's obvious attempt to politicize his criminal prosecution and unlawfully interfere with 2024. Signed by Elise Stefanik, again, not as a representative, but of course she is a representative. And I think a very nice summary. And it's nice to hear, someone with some political gravitas, let's say, who is speaking out against this with some force, because a lot of the other Republicans are just like, la, 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 Trump's being prosecuted, no idea what's going on, a protest on college. Okay, thanks, guys. So we have that coming from Elise Stefanik, and this is what she said in launching this investigation. Now, she talks about a couple of different cases here. You're going to hear her opine on Alvin Bragg before she jumps into explaining what she just filed and why.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The world is watching as the leadership of our so-called elite colleges and universities continue to fail to condemn anti-Semitism and protect Jewish students on campus. Just look at the abject failure of Columbia's president to enforce their own code of conduct that they gave lip service to during the recent education and workforce hearing. Last night, the pro-Hamas anti-Semitic crime crisis rages in New York. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg brought bogus felony charges against President Trump for the non-felony of booking a 2017 nuisance claim as a legal expense. Under this bogus legal theory, this somehow impacted the election. This theory is so baseless that it was previously passed over by the prior Manhattan DA, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, the Federal Election Commission, and Alvin Bragg himself. But a top political appointee in the Biden Justice Department was deployed to Bragg's office to go after Joe Biden's top political opponent and the Republican nominee, Donald J. Trump. And the case is in front of the Democrat judge, Juan Merchant, who donated to Biden's campaign and whose daughter is raising tens of millions off this unprecedented
93
case.
plus, yeah.
This is corrupt election interference to its core. Even a former Clinton federal judge said Judge Merchant must recuse. What was Merchant's response? He retaliated against President Trump with an unconstitutional gag order. Last week, the House Judiciary Committee, under the leadership of Chairman Jim Jordan, released a scathing report highlighting Bragg's political investigation and prosecution of President Trump, calling it a direct threat to our republic. Democrats' corrupt and desperate witch hunts against President Trump must come to an end. This is lawfare and blatant election interference, and the American people know it. That is why today I filed an official complaint with the Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility on Joe Biden's special counsel Jack Smith for his clear and illegal efforts of election interference. We will fight the Democrats' unjust lawfare and expose this corruption, whether it is in New York, Atlanta, or here in Washington, D.C. This is an important responsibility of our oversight. In addition to this important oversight work.
All right, so good stuff from her. Glad that she is speaking out about it. And we're going to keep our eye on what's happening there because Jack is obviously a corrupt partisan hack. And Judge Cannon, I think, knows that in Florida. So here is what she posted. We're keeping our eye on the docket, but she wrote this in a paperless order. Says, all right, here's the deal. We're coming back here to discuss another issue on May 8th at 2 p.m. The parties shall be prepared to discuss specific grand jury material implicated in this proceeding in light of Jack Smith's sealed status reports. We don't know what that means, what's inside of that, but Now check this one out. Says we also are going to talk about updates to pending disclosure proceedings in the D.C. Circuit. Cannon's in Florida. So talking about disclosure proceedings and sealing and redaction arguments related to grand jury material that have been attached to two of Trump's motions. One is a motion to dismiss based on prosecutorial misconduct and due process violations. And the other is based on piercing the attorney-client privilege, right? So Jack Smith got a bunch of material, was peering inside, breaching Trump's privilege rights. So very juicy stuff. Says 90 minutes coming up. And it feels like Judge Cannon is just sort of opening up these different boxes. Oh, what happened in Washington, D.C.? Oh, let's go take a look at that, Jack. Let's open up those doors, because remember what was happening here is Jack Smith was orchestrating his investigation on all of this out of D.C. with Judge Beryl Howell, who is a megalib TDS maniac who is no longer there or in that position, but who was, rubber stamping all of the permission slips for Jack Smith. Oh, you need his Twitter search warrant? Here's a search warrant. Go get his X account. Go get his Twitter account. Don't even notify him about it. So now Cannon is saying, let's go ahead and maybe talk about what was going on in those grand jury proceedings that he was using to go get those investigatory tools approved, stamped, and executed in D.C. So good stuff there. Grateful to see at least one, maybe two Republicans who are speaking out about this, because it is a very important issue. Maybe the most important issue. If you don't have a functional Justice Department and you don't have functional elections because the Justice Department is prosecuting your political opponents, it's basically the end of the country. They lecture us about democracy. How is it democratic to have one party in control and prosecuting anybody who challenges them? It's insanity. And so we're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends. And thank you for subscribing and joining us as we do. We got some great links down in the description below. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com is our members only community. We do live streams in the morning, including on Saturdays. We already went live today, and we'd have a great time having you come and join us. So check it out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll see you over there. We'll see you back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Now, let's stick with Biden's corrupt prosecutors, because we have another complaint. We heard from Elise Stefanik that Jim Jordan also sent a letter, and let's see what that one looks like. This, of course, we know who this guy is. Biden's prosecutor, Matthew Colangelo, you know this guy. He is a little bit behind the scenes, not front and center like Alvin Bragg or Fani Willis or Tish James, but he's been responsible for a lot of the lawfare against Trump. Now, he is getting an investigation launched his direction from Jim Jordan and the Judiciary Committee. And we got some reaction to what's happening in all of these cases, courtesy of Weissmann and Alina Habba. But remember Matthew Colangelo, he has been around with everybody. He's been someone who worked for the Obama DOJ. He worked with Tish James. After Tish, he went and joined Joe Biden. And then after that, when Alvin Bragg was getting a little bit squishy, he went over there and got that case back on track. And remember, Alvin Bragg took office and a bunch of prosecutors resigned. Mark Pomerantz and Kerry Dunn both exited because Bragg wasn't going to prosecute Trump. Colangelo came and joined. Cases back in action. Isn't that amazing how that works? So this same dude has been around every single time his life's work is targeting Trump. And so there are open questions about whether that's justice or not, whether that's appropriate to have a single prosecutor making it their life's work to go take out, the political opponent of all of those people, Obama, Tish, Biden, Bragg, and they call it just prosecution. Well, here is what Jim Jordan said. Going over to Congress, from Congress to the Honorable Merrick Garland, Jim Jordan from the Judiciary Committee, House of Representatives, chairman from Ohio, he tells us, all right, dear Attorney General Garland, loser, the Committee on the Judiciary is conducting oversight of politically motivated prosecutions by state and local officials. And since last year, popularly elected prosecutors like Alvin Bragg, who campaigned for office on the promise of prosecuting Trump, engaged in the unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority. The indictment of a former president of the United States and the current leading candidate for that office. Now, New York County Attorney Alvin Bragg is engaged in one of these politicized prosecutions, which is being led in part by Matthew Colangelo, who is a former senior Justice Department official, Assistant Deputy AG, I believe. Now, accordingly, given the perception that the Justice Department is assisting in Bragg's politicized prosecution because Colangelo came from there, we write to request information and documents related to Mr. Colangelo's employment, which I'd love to see these. This is actually a good request because what's happening here? Is he just like, it's a coincidence, I just got tired of the DOJ, I think New York would be a good change for me. Then he goes to New York and then he goes back to the DOJ and then suddenly he's back in New York again. I got tired of the DOJ. Let's go back to New York. So, and meanwhile, he's following Trump around everywhere he goes, the cases. Now, Colangelo's recent employment history demonstrates his obsession with investigating a person rather than prosecuting a crime. Now, at the New York Attorney General's office, Colangelo ran investigations into Trump, leading a, quote, wave of state litigation against Trump administration policies. Now, on January 20th, the first day of the Biden administration, Colangelo began serving as the acting associate attorney general. And that's with Biden. Before that, I think he was with Obama, he was one level lower. Now, the number 3 official in your department. Now, upon the confirmation of Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta, he then served as, the principal deputy associate AG afterwards. So in December, Bragg beefed up his office, right? And that was after they decided not to prosecute Trump. We had Kerry Dunn and Mark Pomerantz resign. They send their nasty letter. He goes out, writes a book about it. Trump, my life's work. Then Bragg gets Colangelo and boom, the case comes back. He hired Colangelo to fill the void left by Pomerantz and Dunn. Bragg hired Colangelo to, quote, jumpstart his office's investigations of Trump, reportedly due to Colangelo's history of, quote, taking on Trump and his family business. And so Colangelo, of course, is now the lead prosecutor in Trump's trial. So here's the problem. Bragg's prosecution concerns federal subject matter that's identical to the same issues that the DOJ investigated and closed in 2018. So we've got questions about this, Bragg. Raising concerns that a state-level prosecutor is seeking to relitigate an issue which the feds have already closed. Now, in addition to this, Bragg's prosecution relies heavily on the testimony of his star witness, Michael Cohen, who happens to be a convicted felon with a demonstrable animus towards Trump. And he's a serial perjurer, just lied again in New York. Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress in 2019, when he testified before the Democrat-led House Committee on Oversight in a hearing orchestrated by Democrat activists to aid their investigation into Trump. Cohen lied again 6 times. In the years since, Cohen's been vocal about his deeply personal animus towards President Trump, and so that's why they are using him as a victim, as a witness. Now, as the committee has previously explained, Bragg's politicized prosecution of Trump has serious consequences for federal interests, and we're Congress, so we're concerned about that. That a former senior Biden Justice Department official is now leading the prosecution of Biden's chief political rival not only adds to the perception that the DOJ is politicized and weaponized, and it only adds to that. Now, accordingly, we ask for the following information there. Merrick, 1, all documents and communications for the period of January 2021 to December 2022 from Colangelo to anybody in Bragg's office. And, oh, look at this one. Look who made the cut. Fani's office. Yeah, and the DOJ special counsel's office. So anything between or among Colangelo and any employee, agent, or anybody, right? And this is what we've long suspected. This is exactly the point of this, is that Colangelo is specifically following Trump around between all of these offices. Now, Fani is not on this list because he didn't work for her, but there are other people who with close ties to the Biden administration who have. And so is this dude the mastermind who's just setting up these prosecutorial franchises one after the other? Says anything related to Colangelo and Trump, the Trump organization, any other entity owned or controlled by Trump. We want all personnel files related to Colangelo's hiring, employment, termination at the DOJ, all documents about his hiring with the Office of Presidential Personnel, all documents about the DOJ and Alvin Bragg related to the prosecution of Trump, all documents in Cohen's case, in this one, and Cohen's case, this one. They say, hey, Merrick, please provide the information requested as soon as possible, but no later than May 14th at 5 p.m. sharp. SCOTUS has recognized that Congress has broad and indispensable powers to request this information, and so pursuant to the rules of the House of Representatives, the committee is authorized to conduct this oversight, and we're going to do that now. If you have any questions, let us know. Sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan, Chairman, House of Representatives, Judiciary Committee from the House of Representatives. All right, so that's the letter. Now, I would like to know a lot more about Matthew Colangelo. He really is kind of a sleeper cell guy. It's hard to find a lot of info about him. And his role at the Biden DOJ was a little bit more muted when he was there working under Eric Holder. But he's been around for a long time. And so more details about this connection, this relationship, I think would be very, very helpful in showing what a partisan hack he truly is. So Jim Jordan sent that over here. Now, we're talking about the Bragg prosecution and how corrupt the whole thing is. We've got Stormy Daniels, who we know what her background is, who wanted to make Dancing with the Stars again, was going to try to restart her career. We had McDougal, Droopy, who had her problems, wanted to restart her career. So all these people are trying to exploit Trump. We have this question about what is this alternative theory, right? If Trump was orchestrating this mastermind conspirator, even though there is no conspiracy charge in this case, they say there's plenty of evidence to support that. What's the alternative theory? Well, how about the idea is that Trump and Michael Cohen is helping to facilitate these deals. He saw a great thing happen with McDougal and the lawyer Keith Davidson, and he got, was supposed to get a nice deal from that settlement. So he wants to conduct his own little deal now, right? We've got Stormy comes into the play. He's going to be the middleman, take a cut off the top of settling these claims. And so I want to share this clip with you from Weissmann, who calls Cohen a dog who brings in a pheasant, but for some reason he has a hard time understanding this alternative thesis that maybe Cohen's the epicenter of all this and it's not Trump at all. Cohen is a convicted perjurer and serial perjurer, according to a federal judge. Here's Weissmann.
To his campaign. So you would really have to believe that Michael Cohen did all of this and then somehow was reimbursed and is having all of these phone calls with Donald Trump, but none of this was anything that Donald Trump knew anything about at all. I mean, it just becomes...
Well, that's not the standard, right? It's legal services, right? He knows that Cohen's doing legal work for him, and he's knowingly paying for legal services to rectify all these things. But Trump doesn't need to know all the details about it, clearly.
So implausible as to why you would be doing that. I mean, remember, Michael Cohen had sort of bragging rights for this. In other words,
that's right.
This isn't something that he would sheepishly tell Donald Trump doing under this theory. He'd be like going, look what I did for you, boss. Like a dog coming in with a pheasant in its mouth.
Got it, genius.
Like I was able to come up with the money to pay off Stormy Daniels and be the bank that David Pecker was refusing. So it's like, I am your new David Pecker, and I actually took out a frigging home equity line of credit in order to do it. So, I just think that it's a very hard job to figure out what is the counter narrative that is remotely plausible here.
It's that Cohen did it. Cohen wanted to get in on the grift. Cohen was facilitating these deals to get paid thousands of dollars. He was telling Trump he was rectifying these things. There were other NDA. It's a common course of business, right? So Cohen just says, I can do that. This Keith Davidson guy, He comes in, he settles this with McDougal. He's making 45% on that deal. Are you nuts? Cohen's like, this is great. I'll get in on this. No problem. So he starts, assembling these deals, goes through all this crap on his own. He doesn't have a bank, right? He doesn't have a bank like Pecker does. Pecker's got a bunch of cash so he can facilitate these deals. Cohen needs to get this grift started. So he's going to come out of pocket because he knows he's going to get a big windfall when he goes back and says, I settled more claims for you, just like that guy did. And here's my fee, right? So it's clearly an alternative theory there that exonerates Trump, or I think creates distance between what they're even alleging. And to be honest with you, I don't even know what they're alleging. They haven't even made that point yet. We know it's 34 counts of falsifying a business record, but we've been talking about conspiracies and, relationships and sounds like fraud and all these other conspiracy charges, which are actually criminal charges, but they're not in the indictment. So I don't even know what we're talking about or what he's trying to prove here. That Trump knowingly created a false business record when he paid his lawyer a legal retainer. Is that the crime? We're still waiting for the crime. All right. So of course we know it's all just a scam, and Weissmann, I think he knows it's a scam too. He can he's playing the game, or maybe not. He's a former prosecutor, so he might actually be brain dead. It's hard to tell with some of these people. I don't know if they're playing the shtick, given the talking points in a dishonest fashion, or if they are just that dumb. So here is Alina Habba in the house. And on Locals this morning on our members only stream, someone shared an article. Apparently she's, like a marksman. She's like a sniper. She was out at the range. Yeah, I know.
Look, yesterday they brought witnesses on that were good for the defense. Let's be clear. And the truth is, if these jurors are given proper instructions, if they look at the law, if they look at the facts, there has been nothing provided thus far. It's noise. All it is noise and political motivation. If they apply law to fact, they will see that President Trump has done nothing wrong. This is a complete hoax. I mean, I hate to use the word, but it's overused, but it is the truth. It's a hoax. And when you look at it and you say, okay, if you're an American person and you care about the law and you worry about yourself being put in this situation, then you should decide very correctly and very swiftly that President Trump did nothing wrong. He was in the White House at the time, for crying out loud. I mean, what is more evident than that? Just quickly, there was a report in the New York Times, again, look at the source, that Trump has been frustrated with his legal defense thus far throughout this trial. What do you say to that? I say that that's the same thing they do every time there's a trial. They talk about the lawyers because anything Trump is clickbait. The truth of the matter is, I think he's frustrated with the case. I think anybody that is watching this that's got their head on straight is frustrated with this case. But this has nothing to do with the legal team. They're doing a great job. Great job to Trump's team. So far, it's been looking good on our end. And of course, the trial is still very fresh. For guys like Weissmann to come out and say, like, it's all a foregone conclusion, like there's clearly evidence. We haven't even heard from Michael Cohen yet. We've heard from Pecker, who is not even a party to any of the transactions that are alleged to be falsified in this case. Every single crime is related to either an invoice from Cohen, a check or a payment from Trump, or a ledger entry. Nothing to do with Karen McDougal, nothing to do with David Pecker, nothing to do with any of those bank accounts or any of that conversation setting up there. They're all trying to talk about some conspiracy that's not even a charged offense. So we're going to be covering this, my friends. Thank you for joining us as we do. Of course, we got our subscribe button. We'd love it if you click that along with the like button. We'd love it if you invited someone over here to come and join us when we go live. We got some great links down in our description below, including watchingthewatchers.locals.com, our members only community. We do live streams in the morning, shows on Saturday. We'd love to have you join us. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. We're not done yet, my friends. Don't go anywhere. We've got Fani Willis now to attend to. And, all right, let's see what's going on in Fulton County, shall we? Big Fani Willis getting sued, and this is after she does not show up to her debate. This is what her podium looked like. She is now in a contested election running against another Democrat for Fulton County DA, and she disrespected the voters of Georgia and Fulton. And now she's being sued by this woman. Her name is Representative Mainor, and she says that she has been being stalked by an unwell person for a very long time, has gone through a bunch of litigation, legal charges, and orders
against harassment and injunctions and so on, and is still under attack because Fani is so corrupt and so incompetent that she is not doing anything about it. So we'll read through the lawsuit and you'll see just how broken the entire DA's office is, of course, because it's run by Fani, the biggest Fani in Georgia. So what happened there at the debate? Man, she didn't even show up. Here is what this clip looked like from Benny Johnson. He clipped this for us. Says, here, this is what this whole scene was. Here is her opponent standing there, ready to debate, ready to go, got a suit and tie on and everything. And where's Fani? Anyone have eyes on her? Is she at Nathan's again? Is she back in Napa Valley? Did she go to Belize again? Where's Fani? Come on.
Let's meet the candidates. Christian Y. Smith is an author and attorney. Fani Willis has served as Fulton County District Attorney since 2021. Ms. Willis declined to participate in the debate and is represented by an empty podium.
She's at Nathan's Hot Dogs right now, stuffing her face with a footlong, you know. And so she doesn't, I don't need to be there. Very disrespectful to the people of Fulton, very disrespectful. And so she was a no-show. And here was a little bit of a clip from the guy who was also on stage. Of course, this is a news report. And so let's fast forward to see what he says. When he was debating there, here's what that sounded like.
Of former President Donald Trump and others accused of trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election results here in Georgia. Smith talked about that case and referred to Willis's controversial move
Where's
to hire
Fani?
her former romantic partner, Nathan Wade.
She didn't bust in like the Kool-Aid guy this time.
That issue is important to us here in Fulton County and a lot of people across the country. We all heard the phone call. We all saw what happened on January 6, 2021.
Great.
But you have to do things differently. You know, when you pay one attorney nearly $1 million to handle one case, that leaves the rest of us vulnerable. That hurts everyone else in Fulton County.
Wade stepped.
Nathan's Hot Dog, $1 million for him. So you heard him. Not much different than Fani in terms of J6 talk, and it was interesting to hear his take on it. But this is the person who is ultimately suing Fani. Now, this was an interesting press conference because she just essentially talks about stalking for about 5 minutes here and how bad her experience has been. This dude has been following around. Stalkers are, very, very dangerous, very overwhelming. And she's been trying everything she can to get some recourse, but Fani Willis is so incompetent. She's, at Napa Valley drinking Grey Goose again, that there's no prosecutions happening here.
If Fani Willis investigated my case, she would have spoken to my secretary at the Emory Healthcare, who would have shared with her, my stalker repeatedly came to my job to harass me. Repeatedly calling victims at unreasonable amount of times. It could be up to 50 times a day, but they'll make up excuses or lie as to why they had to call you 50 times. Stalkers will cash app you money unsolicited, and you have to block them from sending you money. Stalkers will repeatedly wait for you at your car and surprise you with the "I was just in the area."
Okay. So some of those sound bad, but the other one doesn't sound that bad, actually.
Stalkers will also call you from other people's numbers once you block them.
Okay. That's
Stalkers
annoying.
will leave threatening voicemails on your phone, vacillating between thoughts of undying love.
It's not good. Stalking's bad.
And
Stalking's very bad. We don't want that at all. But I mean, sending you Cash App money, and it's like, okay, how much? Like, how much money are they sending? All right, I'm just curious. Okay, so this is the lawsuit. Now, this actually is pretty bad. There's a bunch in here. It's 17 pages. Let's see what she says. She says, comes now Misha Mainor. That's the woman we were just hearing. She says, I am now suing Fulton County and Big Fani Willis for a bunch of stuff. Says we're demanding a jury trial on this. Says my stalker has been coming after me for a very long time. Says Fulton County, we know all about him. We're going to call him the DA's office. And here is the statement of facts against Fani. First of all, this person we just heard from is a state representative, right? So not just some random person, works in the Georgia House of Representatives. Says she ran a campaign and they hired Mr. Corin Monson as a campaign volunteer. We're going to see this name comes back. So Corin Monson. Now, prior to working on the campaign, they were associates for several years, many friends in common. And he wanted to help her get elected. But then in February, she was forced to terminate him from the volunteer position. Why? Unruly and belligerent behavior. And then he began to stalk her. He would show up at campaign events. He joined her church. He would sit outside her home. And then this guy also called from several different numbers, left her voicemails. And Monson later turned these voicemails into a song. Wow. He admitted he was in love with her, even showed up at her home once and proposed in front of her kids. And now they'd known each other for years, but never had a romantic relationship. So in June, he was cited for criminal trespass. Okay, you got to get off my property, call the cops, they come. August, a couple months later, she goes and files a TPO, a temporary restraining order, protective order. Arizona, we call them injunctions against harassments and protective orders. Now, a judge granted this TPO against Mr. Monson. So he cannot come within certain locations or within her residence, place of business, contact her, whatever. So boom, look what happens immediately. This guy is not well. August, the order comes in. He probably got served with it, so he's on notice now. Then in September, he violates the order. Okay, a year later, violates it again. In September, Fulton County DA's office was indicted him for aggravated stalking for violating the TPO. So, and let's be clear. Okay, this is very likely an unwell person, and this is something that the DA should, clearly be investigating to protect the citizenry, especially, like, this is an elected official in Georgia, just to be ultra clear about that. Everybody should have protection, but this is an elected official. We also have Fani, who is constantly screaming, as well as many people on the left, about how Trump is causing bad behavior towards people in the case or towards the people in the trial. We've never seen anything like this, right? So this is the type of conduct that is actually problematic. They say Trump posted True Social and Angeron got a nasty email. So that means that Trump should be gagged and all of his rights should be stripped away, and our rights too, to hear from him. Right? But this is actually problematic stuff, right? This is criminal behavior. You can't show up on people's property and not leave. You can't violate a court order. The dude's probably unwell, right? I've represented many people in these positions, and they're often, family members who are hiring you for this person because they're so unwell. They just, you got to basically, deal with that before you can ever have some remedy here. But in January, the office indicted him. Okay, so now he's got an aggravated assault charge, which is typically a felony. Might be a weapon, might be injuries, maybe with a, like a vehicle or something. And plaintiff was the victim. We don't know what that was, but for the two cases, okay, now this dude is facing 20 years in prison. It's aggravating pretty quickly. So on information and belief, Mr. Monson's a close friend and associate, this is weird, with defendant Commissioner Arrington. Arrington, a commissioner. Now, in 2020 of October, Monson hired Commissioner Arrington as his defense attorney for the aggravated stalking case. So then Arrington comes in and has a lot of influence. Now, as an assistant DA on Monson's case, informed the plaintiff, Mainor, of the influence that this guy, the commissioner, wielded in Fani's office. Now, he used his influence to circumvent the policies, and he intimidated the DAs. He copied the DAs. He copied Fani on emails. Wow. So this dude has maybe like a relationship with Fani, right? He's like, I know the DA. Okay, I know who she is. So he's sending an email to a line prosecutor and copying Fani Willis on it. He's negotiating plea deals with Fani Willis instead of with the line prosecutors. And he's demanding meetings with Fani when they don't bend to his will. They're like, this dude's crazy. We're not giving him a plea deal. He's like, okay, I'll just talk to Fani. Now, Fulton County residents hire him as a defense attorney because of the power that he has. He's able to yield in the DA's office. And as a Fulton County commissioner, okay, so apparently that is, yeah, there you go, okay? Like, that's a wild conflict. So this dude, Commissioner Arrington, is like another public official who is literally responsible for the budget of the DA's office, and he's accepting private clients. That's crazy. So he's like, yeah, you better give my client a plea deal or I'm going to cut your budget, Fani. What do you want to do about it? Wild. That is such a conflict of interest. That is just crazy. Now, for example, on July 14th, this whole stinking, justice system is so corrupt. It's mind-blowing. that a commissioner is accepting private clients and the commissioner has jurisdiction over the DA's office. It's crazy. For example, on July 14th, Willis went before the Board of Commissioners, where that dude sat, including Arrington. She says, I need more money to hire more staff. During that meeting, Arrington passionately advocated for money to go to her office. At one point during the meeting, Arrington states, F the lowest mileage rate. I don't give a darn about the lowest mileage rate, okay? Where's the money that the DA's office needs? Now, as Fulton County Commissioner, Arrington is also responsible for setting the budget of the judges there, and he has these duties, and while he has it, he also serves as a defense attorney for defendants in Fulton. That is just wild to me. When a commissioner serves as a defense attorney, he's paid by criminal defendants for their defense. Yeah. The probably charges a boatload. Now, from November 2020 to October, Commissioner Arrington influenced proceedings on behalf of Mr. Monson. He used his influence to broker a deal with Fani, or with Mr. Paul Howard at the time. Now, the deal that Arrington negotiated with Howard was not presented to opposing counsel, the assistant DA on the case. Now, in pertinent part, the deal would have allowed Monson to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, even though he was charged with a violent felony. This deal goes against the DA's policies, right? If it's a violent offense, you're not getting a misdemeanor on that. Using a weapon, he might have hit her with their car or something like that. The DA's office policy was to only offer misdemeanor pleas in place of felonies only in extraordinary circumstances. And the office policy was also to punish repeat criminal offenders to the fullest extent of the law, especially when they violate a court order, right? Like if a judge says, don't do this, and you do it. Phew. Furthermore, one of the DA's office policy goals was to lower the occurrence of domestic violence against women in Fulton County. This dude is literally, he has aggravated stalking. It includes the offense of aggravated stalking. He has a prior criminal history. He's got a prior aggravated assault charge and was subsequently reduced to a misdemeanor in a negotiated plea. And second, Arrington is heard on jail calls with Mr. Monson conspiring to cause the sitting judge on the criminal case to be removed. And I don't know how the heck she got those phone calls. How did she get those phone calls? That's attorney-client privilege call here. Wild. Now, Commissioner Arrington encouraged Mr. Monson to file a fraudulent complaint against the judge. According to this commissioner, Judge Ellerby needed to be removed from Monson's case because she would reject the misdemeanor plea he had negotiated. Arrington states, the problem is the effing judge. Says the judge is the only problem, he says, because he can get the DA to drop this to a misdemeanor. Now, after filing a fraudulent complaint against the judge, Monson temporarily had criminal proceedings held before different judges, including Judge Adams. This is crazy. On information and belief, Arrington has a personal relationship with Judge Adams. What? What is happening in Georgia? So the commissioner has a relationship with the judge and he's going in front of Judge Adams. This complaint is crazy. And this is from a state representative. Like, this is not some random person, okay? What? They're indicting each other too. Did Arrington and Adams, did they go to Belize? Did they have the cabin opposite of Fani and Wade? They did, didn't they? On information and belief, Commissioner Arrington used his influence to have ex parte meetings with Judge Adams. I'm sure he did. Now, prior assistant DAs on Monson's case, this is crazy, informed plaintiff Mainor. So prior ADAs on Monson's case told her, so it sounds like Fani's office might be leaking this, informed this woman, Mainor, that Judge Adams' engagement with Monson and Arrington during a hearing was unlike her typical demeanor. She was very deferential to them and she allowed outbursts from them both. Okay, so Judge Adams, like my boyfriend's here with his client. And so these might be Fani. So my question is, how did she get that phone call? Okay, jail calls are recorded. Yes, I know. If you call your significant other and you're not a lawyer, it's all recorded. They're listening. They can use that, whatever. It's all fair game. So be very cognizant of that if you're talking to someone in jail. But when the lawyer calls in, all right, that's attorney-client privilege. You're not supposed to be listening to that. You're not supposed to leak that out. So attorney calls, and now she's got the phone call. She's got the recordings. So did the prosecutors leak the recordings to this state representative, is my question? So her boyfriend's in the courtroom, and she's like, I love it when you talk dirty to me. This is a little weird because I'm in my robe right now in the courtroom, but okay, yeah, baby, whatever, weird. So third, on jail calls between Arrington, who's the defense lawyer, and Monson, Commissioner Arrington, who's still the defense attorney, agrees to use his influence to get a favorable outcome. He says, I'm going to use my father, which is Marvin Arrington Sr., who's a former Fulton County Superior Court judge, and his influence to sway the proceedings. He also says that we're going to use my position as commissioner. We're going to get a favorable result for Monson. Crazy. Fourth, during jail calls, defendant Commissioner Arrington admits to telling Fani Willis, who was the district attorney-elect at the time, about the case with Mr. Monson in advance of her being sworn in. Now, the commissioner states that he wants Mrs. Willis to know that, quote, that bee is crazy, which is a reference to Mainor. Okay. So they're talking about her now. Okay, so Monson, right, attacked Mainor. So they're saying, we're going to tell Willis that this victim of this crime is just psycho. She's just a lunatic. And therefore, Arrington is going to use his influence to bias Willis against Mainor. Now, I think that, there's a conflict here, of course, because this guy pays Fanny's bills, which is crazy. And I also want to be clear, there are positions, there are boards in different cities and different states where they want different people. Like they actually want defense attorneys on them, right? They say, we want one defense attorney, one prosecutor, we want one person here to do evaluations and some things like that. Okay, that happens all the time. That's not unusual. This is unusual when the guy sets the budget of the judges and the prosecutor and then hires himself out as defense attorney in order to put leverage on this. But my point is, this is an argument every single defense attorney has made ever. Okay. Like, oh, dude, your victim is claiming he hit her. That chick is crazy, dude. Have you seen this? Prosecutor's like, no, wow. Okay. Yeah, she is a little crazy. Okay. All right. So she started it. So give my client a deal, give him a better deal. She started it. Okay. Maybe he shouldn't have hit her, but she started it. She's nuts. So give me a deal. Happens all the time. Okay. Yours truly included. This chick is nuts, dude. Look at these text messages. She's crazy. Guy's like, all right. Yeah, she's crazy. So that's not unusual. Okay. That's very common. And there are a lot of crazy chicks out there. It's just true. So this is, a little bit normal, but saying he's going to use his influence, saying I'll cut her check, I'll cut her bill, is a little bit of a problem. Now, fifth, during these same jail calls, Arrington encouraged Monson's wife, Miss Alicia Monson, to harass Mainor. So go harass the victim. So this guy's in jail for aggravated assault. And so the wife is going to go harass her. Mainor later sought a protective order against her. Nice family, huh? Now, after the reference jail calls were publicly released, okay, so they were publicly released. That answers that. And I don't know how that happened. Commissioner Arrington resigned as Monson's attorney. So that guy got busted. Then in January, District Attorney Madam Fani Willis, what's that for, Madam? was sworn in as Fulton County's DA. Now, as the top prosecuting official, Willis became responsible for the adjudication of Monson's criminal cases. Interesting. Okay, now, although Arrington stepped down as his attorney, he continued to wield influence over the case. He maintained that offer. Then the new lawyer came in and repeatedly referenced the plea deal. Says, you already offered him a misdemeanor, so give that back. The new lawyer argued that Fani should stand behind the original plea deal, and although Monson was ultimately not offered a misdemeanor, Willis did dismiss one of the aggravated stalking cases. One of the remaining aggravated stalking cases, on the remaining, he was offered a plea of 3 years to serve 1 in prison, the balance on probation with credit for the time he'd already served. It's a pretty good deal. Yeah, because he's probably been in there for several months already. Might be time to, getting close to getting out. And I don't know if they have, 85% time or, additional credit that he could earn, but he might be getting out right after that. Now, so plaintiff Mainor was not informed of the plea deal extended to Monson prior to him accepting, which is a violation of the Georgia Victims' Bill of Rights. Wow. So that's scandalous. Yeah, you go talk to the victims, right? You don't say, we're going to give this guy probation. And they're like, what? He's going to come back to my house and kill me. So you kind of get their input on it. Now they can override that. They can say, well, he's not going to come kill you. Relax. But they didn't even talk to the victims. Certain victims' rights must be specified. You've probably heard this in your state. You probably have a Victims' Bill of Rights. Now, Mainor also did not approve of the negotiated plea deal. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's dispositive, right? She doesn't ordinarily have to approve it. Like well, she didn't approve it. Marcy's laws applies to victims of aggravated stalking and says in September, he pled no contest to aggravated stalking. He received credit for time served. And so the plea deal was not appropriate, according to her own inter-office policies. And by her own words, she said, we created the very first domestic violence unit in Georgia. And so the negotiated plea deal did not align with the sentencing guidelines. The DA's office, it is not their office to offer a 1-year jail sentence to a criminal defendant charged with a violent crime when he's got a prior violent history as well. And the shortened probation sentence was also not consistent, and Fani failed to investigate these charges. They failed to interview a single person who had witnessed the behavior towards Mainor. And so she's been treated as a victim. Disparate treatment as a victim, and so she took the following actions to deal with this. In August, she was forced to notify the Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women. So she contacted the feds. Says, Fani's so incompetent, you guys got to do something about this. She also called the bail company of Monson to inform them that he'd violated his bond conditions by being rearrested. Then they revoked his bond. So he was out on bond, committed a new offense. Oops. Plaintiff Mainor also filed a bar complaint saying that Commissioner Arrington uses his elected position to sway deals as a criminal defense attorney. And Mainor also filed an ethics complaint against Commissioner Arrington that he'd violated several ethics rules and the adjudication of the case. Now, Mainor has had to attend more than 10 hearings about this case. Mainor has had 6 different prosecutors. The last prosecutor who took the plea on the deal was Yolanda, saying they were bouncing around all the various desks. She suffered severe financial and emotional damages, and Willis was operating under the color of law when she caused these injuries. She also filed a board complaint with the Board of Commissioners. In December, Carrie Foster informed her we consider these violations, but the board also failed to follow proper procedure while adjudicating any of this. Of course, the board refused to hear the jail calls. They're like, we don't need to hear about it. It's Fani Willis. She's great. Commissioner Arrington, they didn't even listen to it. They cited attorney-client privilege as the reason it refused to hear the calls, even though they're public. Although a third party on the jail calls, that's why. There was a third party on the jail calls with Arrington and Monson. Okay, so it wasn't attorney-client privilege, right? It was breached. So new details. So the board failed to seek a judicial ruling on whether no, we can't listen to it. That's fine. In November, Monson was released from jail. November 2021. Guess what? This guy's released. Good job, Fani. Monson immediately began stalking Mainor again. Doesn't even wait a minute. As a condition of his probation, he was ordered to have no contact with Misha Mainor. After being released, he showed up to events. November 18th, Mainor ran into Monson as she was leaving a gas station near her home. It's a few hundred feet from her house. November, they told the DA's office of this. No one cared. No one took action. Willis, Mack, the DAs, no one took action. On December 10th, Monson attempted to enter a legislative office building, where she works. Dude comes right in. Capitol Police stopped him from entering. He's on a do not enter list. So they're like, no, sorry, bro. Monson informed the Capitol Police that the state campaign ethics office had instructed him to come into the building to testify. So he says, no, I'm here. I'm here for an official reason. It's the Capitol building. I need to be here. So they then go talk to this guy, Mr. John Cusack, the chief counsel for the state campaign ethics office. He says, no, we didn't call him. We didn't call him to come in and testify. So he's lying to get into the building. On December 13th, Brian Hill of the Atlanta Police Department began an investigation into whether Monson violated the temporary restraining order placed against him by entering the building. As part of his investigation, he watched body camera footage from the police who were there, interviewed witnesses. He concluded that, yeah, he did violate the TRO. Yeah, definitely breached it. Now, investigator Hill was prepared to pursue charges against him, but guess what? The DA's office refused to prosecute the violation. No, he was just confused. They are making a warrant futile. And Yolanda says, well, it doesn't appear that his intentions were to violate the order, but simply to give testimony on his ethics complaint against you. He did not have any contact with you directly or indirectly, so just shut up and deal with it. No charges from Yolanda. You're fine. Which is interesting because he wasn't there to testify. John Cusack told us that. Weird. Again, Mack and Willis refused to take action. And so there's a claim here against Fani and Arrington and a bunch of people, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Their conduct was reckless, outrageous, distressful, and it was severe. Said Arrington used his public service position to disrupt the proceedings against Monson, and he intentionally circumvented the policy of the DA's office. And just to be clear, like, defense attorneys are supposed to break the policies. Like, I'm not upset about that. We break policies all the time. We know it's your policy, okay? That's what prosecutors always say. Well, that's our policy. We can't. Okay, quiet. I know what your policies are. Our job is to break them. So give us a better deal. I don't want to hear about your policies. So, that's fine. Like, you're allowed to intentionally get a better deal. That's the whole point of a defense attorney job. You're not supposed to be able to use your leverage over their salary to do that. Now, Commissioner Arrington intentionally used his political power to intimidate the plaintiff, again, inappropriate. And it'd be like a prosecutor saying, well, your client defense attorney better take this deal or I'm going to prosecute you. It's like, what? You better give me a deal or your job is gone. It's like, whoa, it's not appropriate. Commissioner Arrington intentionally had ex parte communications with Judge Kimberly Adams. Apparently those two were indicting each other or something. And he was briefly assigned to Monson's aggravated case. So this judge, right, you can sometimes judge shop. You can have, let's have a settlement conference. Well, who's going to do a settlement conference on a Wednesday afternoon? Who's on the calendar? Who's available for that? Oh, this judge will do them. Okay, how about we make a request and get it scheduled? So, and it's probably what's happening, right? He's like, oh, I know this judge. She's going to be great. Let's come in here. And then after the proceedings over, he goes back into the chambers. You know what I'm saying? Now, defendant Commissioner Arrington's behavior was reckless due to the nature of the charges against Monson and considering Monson's prior criminal activity. And the behavior caused Mainor severe emotional distress. She fears for her life. She's had to deal with this more than 3 times in a year. She's moving more than 3 times in a year. Severe anxiety and depression, strain and trauma, children living in fear. It's awful. It's not a good situation. Says Arrington's actions caused Mainor to experience intense feelings of intimidation, all sorts of things. Says Willis intentionally used her political power to dismiss a legal claim that was legitimate. Against the state rep, intentionally offered Monson a plea deal that went against her interest, showed deference to Arrington and his client to the detriment of her, instructed ADAs to compromise and advocate on behalf of Monson, failed to prosecute the probation violations, turned a blind eye to biased relationships between Arrington and the Superior Court judges, and that judge is on blast. Oh my gosh. Willis intentionally failed to recuse herself from the case, despite Arrington informing her of the case, and prior to Mainor, and plaintiff Mainor prior to her taking office, and so severe emotional distress has been caused. And Willis intentionally violated Georgia law, failed to advocate on behalf of victims, violated Marcy's law, failed intentionally to investigate claims, and caused severe emotional distress from Fani. And so, wow, even saying there's a RICO claim here I like it. RICO practices. I like it. This claim is saying it's unlawful for people to racketeer. And in this case, they did. Arrington tampered with evidence by speaking with Willis about the case before she was even sworn in. Influenced this by encouraging Monson to file a false claim against the judge. Arrington made false statements when he filed fraudulent motions when he was a defense attorney. He committed bribes. He committed intimidation, she alleges, obstructed justice, and Arrington. The offenses were not part of a normal practice, but part of a systematic and ongoing pattern that was enabled and engaged in by Fani Willis as well. Hit her with the RICO, baby. Bribery in violation and obstruction of justice, says Willis engaged in bribery. She gave Arrington and Monson preferential treatment under the law. Okay, he says, I'll keep your budget the way it is as long as you give us a good deal. She does it. Willis obstructed justice. She failed to improperly investigate these cases. She gave him a plea deal that was too generous, and this claim is for damages and for a remedy. We want compensatory and consequential damages, damages for emotional distress, for humiliation, loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, economic losses, special damages, punitive damages out of Big Fanny, and attorney's fees, and all other relief as deemed appropriate by the court. Signed here by Kiana Chenault, writing out of Atlanta, Georgia at chenaultlaw.com. Nice complaint from Kiana against a very corrupt Fani Willis. So that's just insane to me that the depths of corruption continues to expand. We've got judges now. We've got commissioners now. Commissioners allegedly sleeping with judges. Commissioners who are in direct control, who've had conversations about the budgets, using that position and their budgetary powers to influence decisions by Fani's office, to essentially threaten judges. It's a free-for-all. It is a absolute circus in Fulton County, and it's wild to see. I guess this is the new acceptable justice in blue cities across America. So we'll see if there's any consequences for this in Georgia. Unlikely, because apparently nobody even cares if she doesn't even show up to the debates, just like more Fani. As long as she's prosecuting Trump, she can do whatever she wants. Belize, Napa Valley, she can go anywhere she wants, do anything she wants all the time with no consequences at all, because she's the biggest Fani in Georgia. We're going to be here continuing to cover the shenanigans and the corruption out of this location. We hope that you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing to our channel and inviting a friend or family member, someone you know or love, to come over here and join us when we go live. We'd love to see them and meet them as well. We have great links down in the description below. We have our members only community. We do live streams in the morning for our members only and on Saturdays. We'd love to have you come join us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We get into a bunch of other stuff that we can't squeeze in here on the shows. We'd love to have you join us. We'll look forward to seeing you over there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. We had 3 good segments. That last segment was even better than I thought it was. It was like, oh my gosh, what? Judges indicting defense attorneys? Yikes. All right. That's a little scandalous for sure. Biden prosecutor Colangelo investigated for targeting Trump, and we have Jack Smith now being probed, or a request for a probe from Elise Stefanik in the House of Representatives. And so now, my friends, it is time to hear from you. Let's see what you have to say about all this. As I mentioned, we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com as soon as we're done saying thank you and hello to our friends here joining us on the day. Who do we have? Whoa, what's up? Tim the Mechanic is here. Says, I thought I posted this earlier, but it didn't. Thought this posted earlier, but it didn't. Well, thanks for posting it, Tim. Tim the Mechanic's over on Locals. Thank you, Tim, for that. For sending in a nice dono. No real question on there, but a nice comment. And we're grateful to have you. Thanks for sending that in and for being a membo over on our Locals. Great to have you. We've also got some other comments on the day. Let's see who is happening here. We got Joby. What's up, Joby R? is sending this one in. Third super chat on a live stream. Joe BR in the house. Thanks for being a membo. Thanks for supporting the show today. Grateful for you. Beth A. What's up, Beth? New supporter. Can't wait to see you on our members only stream in the morning. It's going to be great when we see you tomorrow. This one came from Glocky over on Local. Says the mask just came off Kennedy. He may be even worse than Biden. Yeah, so this is an interesting clip. I saw I think the transcript of that clip, but I think RFK is talking about red states. Red states are more likely to murder you. It's true. He's a lib. Hey, what's up? Travel agent Amy says, anybody hear about Elon Musk firing The View or stopping the program? Or is this fake news? Firing The View? I think he fired he fired two divisions. One was the charging team, essentially. But that's all I know. I don't think he can fire The View. Does he own The View? I don't think so. Hey, it's Viva. What's up? It's Viva. You know who Viva is. He's right next door on Rumble, on Locals, and on the YouTubes. He says, Rumble on and keep up the great work, Robert. Well, thank you, Viva. Of course, great to see our friend Viva. We love Viva's channel. If you're not already subscribed to Viva's channel, he's got a great channel. And you should also follow him on X because he posts these fishing videos. And I watched a fishing video the other day of him and his son, and they're reeling in this fish. And there's a little alligator down there who came and ate it, man. Like the government stealing our hard-earned profits, just like alligators in the swamps of Florida. Shout out to our friend Viva. Make sure you're subscribed and following him. He's right next door. Look him up, Viva Fry. Rumbler now. Doing great work from Florida. Good to see you, Viva. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. We got Ray K says, hey, what's up? 27 months. Carry the one. Is that 3 babies? Oh, good day, watchers. Am I the first to 3 babies? Hold on. Let me get a calculator out. 9 times 3, 18. I think you are. I don't know that you're the first. I don't know that you're the first. I think we got some 4 babies maybe in the house now. We really started this in like 2020, March 2020. So we might have some 4 babies, but 3 babies is a great one. I mean, good to see you, Ray K. 3 full babies in the house. I'm pretty sure. We got, what's up? Rick D says, is there case law on a state not being able to use a federal statute to elevate? How did Fani and Twinkies ever get it through? Well, I think so. Well, there is the supremacy clause. I mean, ultimately. So the supremacy clause say that, essentially the federal laws, if they're in conflict with the state, the feds supersede. Now we're having an interesting debate about this. Now, what if the feds decline, right? We're running into this in New York. Exactly. In other words, they're saying that the object crime, so Trump committed a crime because he intended to commit another crime. What is that other crime? It's the object crime. And that is, they're alleging, I guess, a federal crime that the feds decided not to prosecute. So how can their object crime be a federal crime that the feds declined, which is a federal criminal statute that's not in the jurisdiction of New York? So how could that be the object crime? We don't know. So this judge is saying it can happen, or evidently, and I still think we're waiting for the theory of this case to come together. Like what specific law did he intend to violate? There's a couple options there. So I'm sure there is case law. I don't know any specific cases off the top of my head, but essentially that's what's happening. Yeah, is feds declined. States are trying to squeak through a state level case on a predicate of a federal crime. I think it's not lawful, but they're doing it in New York. Glocky says, if the swing states that Republicans control right now and the red states can do the same thing, then your legislators will be extremely negligent in preserving the American voter. South Carolina is showing how to get around the feds and Democrats allowing illegals to vote. Says new studies have shown that having healthy gut biome is essential for talk to your doctor and follow their advice on medical claims. We've got this one from Glocky. Says, I asked AI to show my Great Pyrenees in Vegas gambling. That looks like a great photo, man. That's basically what our Watcher meetup is going to look like on June 29th when we're outside Trump Tower. Needs more Trump International Hotel in there. Otherwise, it's outstanding. We got Donut clipping for us. Hey, Lenny Malley's on the tubes. Membo says 439 likes, 3.5 in the house. Please smash the like button, share, subscribe on all social media platforms, and God bless you all. Thank you, Lenny. God bless you back. Thanks for the good reminders. What's this one look like? This one says, I've been having some fun making some dancing GIFs. And for some reason, this is not loading here. Let's see if this loads. All right, load up here. We have a screen. This is loading right now, as you can see. So I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. Still loading, still loading, still loading. Yeah, that's still too risque for us. Still a little too risque for us. We have Lady Justice. She's putting together some Lady Justice dancing. Okay, she's dancing here. All right, I'm going to play it, but I don't know. I think it's a little too risque. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. All right, sorry, Lady Justice. Salty Sarge says Stefanik is going places if Trump wins. I like that she's speaking out about this. I think this is very good news. She's on the right issue, and a lot of others are not. Bad Poet says Mercan's wife is out of the news, but an even bigger fish than daughter and authentic. When will they look? I've heard some of that about the wife, but I haven't seen anything corroborated. I haven't seen anything corroborated there. So I'm not sure. Glocky says the internal polling for the GOP must be showing the Democrats getting slaughtered on prosecuting Trump. Because if the numbers showed Trump losing on the prosecutions, there's no way that the cowardly GOP would come out and fight for him. So the numbers have to be horrible for the DNC. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, it seems like his numbers go up every time something bad happens in the courts. So that might be a good thesis. Salty Sarge says, if you want to know who controls the deep state and is Joe's puppeteer, look no further than Matthew's former employers, or at least that they are starting the starting lineup, a facade of face men for decades. We got Glocky says, for the love of God, someone do the math, okay? The school was closed last year. How do this many people get $6 billion loan forgiveness? Is this the art one? Oh yeah. So Joe Biden's forgiving $6 billion for art institutes. It's not funny, man. It's not funny. Okay. It's not funny. These people, it's just insane. Our government's insane. So they're going to have art degree, useless art degree. I like art, by the way, but do you need an art institute degree or something and free college for that? Like, what about free college for the trades? People who can build stuff, electricians and plumbers and roofers, all of the people who actually build things. Art's great, but it's not really creating a valuable asset for society that we can use and build upon. And my Aunt Linda's an artist. I love you, Aunt Linda. You're doing a great job. She's great, like a really talented artist. What's up, Mexican Marauder? And she does turn it into a profession, but I think that's a low propensity for that. Mexican Marauder, I love you, Aunt Linda. Colangelo sounds like he is involved in violating RICO with Biden being the boss. Yeah, it sounds like it. They've got a whole collusion or campaign being orchestrated against Trump. Just Rhonda's here, bringing in 5 new membos. Just Rhonda's bringing in Imaginary Pete. We got Audie Joe. We have Dina S. Will's coming in, and Brian L. and Mainor and Jennifer shouting out Just Rhonda for bringing in the new membos. What's up, Knox Bierman, defense attorney in Texas, says, happy Wednesday, all. I had a friend who followed the Grateful Dead back in the day. So much better than being the free-range prosecutor following Trump. I see. Yeah, I see. So, yeah, it's actually, Matthew Colangelo kind of sounds like that Monson stalker guy, Maybe he should be indicted for harassing Trump, for stalking Trump. Sheesh. What's up, Knox? Good to see you. Object Class Keeters here says Cannon seems to be revealing a huge RICO case out to get Trump that involves the White House and a few state executive offices. Right. Slowly just peeling back the layers so we can see what's inside. I'm happy about it. We're seeing a lot of good stuff. And Julie Kelly is doing some great reporting on that. Bad Poet says New York will file bankruptcy when they get served with Trump Inc. versus New York City for damages once he's back. So Trump says, I'm going to countersue you for damages. And He'll get paid, $50 billion. New York will be bankrupt. Sounds good. Fred Pedemonte. He says, I invite everyone here to stalk me. Here's my Cash App, Fred Pedemonte. Okay, stock away. You're right. Yeah, Fred. And the bigger the stalking, the better, I guess, right? Stalk me hard. Oh no, not more money. Stop it. Please stop. Hilarious. Go stalk Fred Pedemonte. It's a good one. Hey, Knox says, wouldn't the Fulton County Commissioner approve all of Fani's COVID funds, etc.? Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you probably sent that as we were just reading through the complaint. I was thinking, who is this guy? What's his role? And why would he have extra power? And yeah, turns out he has the power of the purse over her. Incredible. Bad Poet says, Fani's daddy always says, get a lot of cash, man. Put it under your mattress. Guess who taught little Fani, she's big Fani, how to be a public official? Her daddy, and maybe Nathan Wade, her mentor. Knox says, all jail calls are recorded. You have to ask for the room to get that whole non-recorded convo. That is everywhere I have visited clients. There are big signs, ADAs get all jail calls. Yeah. And people, I don't think, explain that to clients enough. Like, clients will talk to their spouse and stuff. And prosecutors are listening in on that. In fact, yeah, we've had some interesting situations. Like we had at my law firm, my prior firm, we had a situation where basically a prosecutor warned our firm about something bad that was happening in a jail call, right? That our client was basically saying it was going to happen and all, so it's pretty crazy. It's a crazy practice. So the point being said, right, if you're an attorney and a client, you should not have ADAs listening to your phone calls at all. So if they're listening to your phone calls, they're getting attorney-client privilege information. But generally speaking, yeah, Knox is exactly right. And be cautious about that because people will think that, it's just my wife on the other end or something. It's like they're listening, man, to everything. NY says, after all of this Fani news, it's no wonder why Fani didn't fear defunding of her office based on her boyfriend getting a contract. Yeah, it's more context. Everything is so corrupt based on what you just read. Judges being removed, judges being pressured, the whole county's BS. No wonder the judge had qualms about removing Fani. This corruption's routine. Yeah, it's just the deal. It's not justice. Like we're all sitting here observing this is like, well, this feels weird. It's not like a regular court. Hopefully Judge McAfee comes out and does justice. We have no idea what we're dealing with here. It's like a foreign country, honestly. This is what they do in crap hole countries with, no justice system at all. It's all corrupt. This is it. So we should have been applying the Fulton County standards, not America. Jeffrey Adams says, maybe Brian Kemp should do his effing job and run Georgia better. Might be a good idea. Dolphin fan is the man. It sounds like the people of Fulton maybe want this. They're happy about this future for themselves. Dolphin fan is the man is bringing in 10 new membos. We got Patrick B's here. Carl came in. Jim Justus. TC's here. Katz is in the house. Scott. We got Ian C. Jason N. Janine S. And some major shout outs from Jennifer Laura and Mainor. Thanking. Dolphin fan is the man in the house. What's up, DC Metro? No question, but very nice dono. Thank you, DC Metro. Hopefully you're having a great week and happy new month to you. May is going to be lit. NY says, I can't believe the Fed's not doing anything to Fani, or maybe she was, quote, spoken to. And in turn for 100% cooperation in Trump's prosecution, her big problem is that this Stalking case goes away. I think everything goes away. I mean, she's basically protected. She's got one mission. That's to prosecute Trump. As long as she keeps that train on the track, she's immune. She can do whatever she wants. And she is, literally. NY says, good to see you. We got this old guy. Says, I'm floating a TV series plot called Fulton with all the networks. After all, Dallas did pretty well. Yeah, like the Real Housewives of Fulton County. The Real Prosecutors of Fulton County. Wild. Dolphin fan is the man. Whoa! Says, hi, everyone. Today I want to celebrate with you, my 29th year working at UPS. Dolphin fan is the man. Happy anniversary, man. That is a nice career. And We're grateful for you. Man, we love our UPS. So shout out to Dolphin Fan is the man. Cheers to you on 29 years and an amazing investment in yourself and your career. And I'm sure your life. I'm sure hopefully sounds like you're probably really enjoying it. So congratulations. That's a lot. Good to see you. We got Dolphin Fan is the man bringing in membos to celebrate. We got Fur Shizzle is here. We have Tree Climber. Laura Van says happy anniversary. Audio Wizard. Steve Clark says congrats. Nurse, not lawyer, is here. Axeman, Lillian. Jennifer says, heck yeah, Dolphin, get it, man. Congrats. Apache Man, Mike Matlock, Mainor shouting out Dolphin. Afro, Deziak is here. Dean Hughes and Eric with the K says, congrats to Dolphin Fan is the man. 24 years. Very awesome. 29 years. Very awesome. I almost shortchanged you 5 years. Rude. Rick D. What's up, Rick? Bringing in new membos. We got Vincent M, Susan B. We got JP's coming in, Trisha B, and Peter J. all in the house, courtesy of our friend Rick Donner, bringing in new membos. Hey, what's up, Pritchie? Pritchie's back. Good to see you. Says, yay. Oh my gosh. Says, yay, I'm out of the hospital and I get to catch up on my favorite person on the tubes. Pritchie. Says septic infection sucks, small cut on the arm. Put me in the hospital for 3 weeks due to blood poisoning. Wow, Pritchie. That sounds like an ordeal, my man. I'm very glad that you're okay. You're back. It sounds like it was a close one, man. That's tough. We're glad you're back. Hopefully you're feeling good. You're going to be back on your feet in no time. Healing up. I'm glad you made it, man. Thanks for being here. It's very nice to see you again. We got Mina. Good to see you, Mina. Welcome to our chat. Third super on a live stream. Great to see you, Mina. Very nice one. LOL is the sticker. Nice to have you, Mina. We got Jack Mack is here, bringing in 5 new membos. Sir Don Tripp. We got Shantae. Signius is here. Richard G. Herbal Patriot and Jennifer sending some thanks into Jack. Hey, Jack Mack says, what's this about an event on June 29th? Whoa, well, you're asking about the Watcher Community Meetup, which is taking place in Las Vegas, Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, June 29th. We're having a meetup. And guess who might even be coming to this? Mama Govea. She might be coming. She called me and said, I think we might come. I said, okay, we'll see you there. It's going to be great. Watcher Meetup. If you want to RSVP, watcherlodge.com is where you can do that. It's going to be on a Saturday. Exact location is TBD. Exact time is TBD. So just get your booty to Vegas and we'll figure it out there. But RSVP over there, watcherlodge.com if you want to know more. We got, what's up, Jack? Hopefully we see you, Membo, for 8 months. We got Tulio. 5 new membos. What's up, Tulio S. Bringing in Stacia R, Chris, and Tomato Farmer Tom. My tomatoes are a little bit leggy, and I'm not real happy about it. I'm going to have to probably redo them, or at least transplant them, Tomato Farmer. Marjorie S. is here. Janine S. is here, courtesy of Tulio. Good to see you, Tulio. Thanks for bringing them in. Very nice to have you. We got Demo. Says, JB said he'd debate President Trump. That's true. So Biden said he'd debate. I predict Joe Biden saying it must be on X date located at X time. Knowing Trump has to be in New York and court can't miss a day just so Joe Biden can say, we tried, you refused to show up. Yeah, he's like, I'll debate you on Monday at 10 a.m. And Trump's like, I got to be in trial. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't be such a criminal. See, Trump's a criminal. Good to see you, Damo. We'll see. I mean, ordinarily, there's a lot that goes into these with the committees and all the rules and the hosts and everything. It's a big operation. I think they'd probably schedule it on a, well, I mean, you're kind of right about that. When are the debates? Like on a Wednesday night, maybe? Might be the appropriate time for that. What's up? We got this one from unknown Matt Moses. Says Stefanik voted against FISA requirements. Oh, against FISA requiring warrants. Yes, that's true. I thought I read that as she voted against FISA, but no, she voted in favor of FISA. Yeah, it was a very big disappointment, no doubt. Rick D says, what is your unfiltered take on Cohen, the liar, TikToking? Well, we kind of did a whole segment on that yesterday, Rick. We talked about that in context of Trump's gag order. And I think personally, I think it's great. I think Cohen should keep doing TikToks as much as possible. I think he should be on there every night talking about this and doing his little stupid heart thing and his hat thing. It looks ridiculous. And the more he does it, the more hopefully Trump's team can introduce that as evidence in the trial. So I think he should do it. I think he's basically an absolutely defeated, broken person. And you can see that he is just craving attention. He gets his meaning through this whole thing. It's really kind of a sad state of affairs when somebody can be so broken that the only way they get validation is by living a lie. Could you imagine being that person? It's strange. So I have a little bit of empathy for somebody who is so broken. He's still a piece of work, and he deserves our contempt until he gets his act together and wants to become an honorable human with integrity. But if he's going to continue to live this lie because it does give him validation, and if he's so short-sighted to think that the Democrats are actually, friendly to him rather than exploiting him, then he's going to have a rude awakening. But at current time, his basically breakdown, I think, serves the Trump defense. So I'm all in favor of him TikToking. He should do more of it. Knox says, here, happy work anniversary, Dolphin fans. Good, yes, shout out Dolphin fan, man. That's a serious investment. We love that. We got Lenny Malley says, Robert, I told you, fly on the wall. There's a fly on the wall? Member for 13 months. There's a fly in here? That's probably true. I keep the doors open pretty regularly. And we get bugs in here. I keep the doors open. It's like, shut the doors, Rob. And I even have on one door, a net, but I open the other doors that don't have nets because I don't really care. And then they come in like, all right. I like the breeze. I like the nice weather. We got, hey, what's up, Sean T? Great to see you, Sean. Sean T in the house. Thank you for sending this one, Sean. Great to have you. Thanks for stopping by. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Happy 1st of May. Over to you. What's up, Sean? We had this one from Jennifer. Says, thanks for another great show, Rob. Have a blessed Wednesday to you and to you, Jennifer, and to the Watching the Watchers fam. Amen to that. Thank you, Jennifer, for saying that. It's a beautiful Wednesday. It's a fresh new month, my friends. So you can leave April in the can if you want to. It's like pulling off that nice piece of plastic. Oh, yeah, that's good. Fresh new month, May 1st. We got it. Mark N says, anything over $600 on the Cash App is now taxed. That's right. I think you have to report, right? Any transaction. That's right. That was Biden's stupid bill. Yeah. So I'm sure that'll drop down at some point as well. Well, as long as you keep it under that amount. So don't stock Fred for anything over $600. Okay. Stock him from under that so he doesn't have to report it. Follow your CPA. Okay, Fred, if you get stocked, you better report that to your CPA. Rick D says, what's up, Rick? Says, thanks for answering. Always appreciate you. It's a good question, Rick. Yeah, it's a good question about Cohen. I think there's many layers to that. I think he's just kind of a broken soul at this point. Doesn't mean you're forever gone. You can be pretty down. You can be pretty twisted up in this world, but there is a saving grace, and hopefully it works on him as it has on many of us. All right, my friends, what's up? Sean T has another great question that just came in. Says, Rob, why not make the 13 million pages of discovery public and let the collective internet comb through it? Is there some reason it can't be public? Yeah, well, it depends. Some of it's classified. Some of it's under a protective order. So in other words, the court has issued a protective order on that to say that you can't actually disclose it. You can't actually, get rid of it or publicize it. So the court has issued an order that it is protected, so it cannot come out. There's also some rules about discovery in cases. So depending on what case you're talking about, that's the J6 case. But it's not public record. It's the defense attorney's records subject to a protective order. And there's many reasons why they may not want to publish it either. And but I understand your point. Like, why don't we just crowdsource this? So the same concept that maybe with the J6 videos, we crowdsource that, right? Many hands make light work. We all get into it and parse through it. I don't know how helpful that would be for Trump. Ultimately, I think that the 13 million pages is just a procedure to obscure the good discovery in the case that they don't want us to see. So great question. And that, of course, came in from, hey, another one from Dolphin fan. More Membos coming in. What's up, Dolphin? Lucas G, Tex Zombie, Sherry S, Miss Seeker, EB's here, PK from AK. The big guy's crackhead son is a new member. CGI Joe's here. Poem Paget's joining us. And Mainor is in the house. Good to see you. And once again, congrats to Dolphin Fan is the man. 29 years, baby. Ernie C's coming in. MSN Rocket Softballs joining us, courtesy of Dolphin Fan. And it's great stuff over there. And we had our final one come in before we say what's up to X. Did we check X yet? We have not checked X. We got Jack Mack, who sent this one, says, Rob, is Mama G bringing some of those legendary meatballs to Las Vegas? Oh, she'll do it. Congrats on your milestone, Dolphin Fan. Have a great night, y'all. Good to see you, Jack. She'll do it. My mama, she'll cook a lot of meatballs. How many people are coming? And how many meatballs can you eat? Don't tempt her. She'll do it. She'll do it. All right, let's see who is joining us over on X before we go over to locals and wrap it up with our members-only debrief. Who's joining us? Hey, Fred is here. Says Ethan Harris sent me, Ethan H, I don't know if it's Harris, sent me $4.20 on Cash App. You got a stalker. Ethan stalking you. Isn't that fun? We got some memes. We've got some memes from Glocky. Okay, here's one. I don't condone political violence. Okay, this is just a funny meme. Okay. I would never actually take out both those prosecutors in a wrestling ring. I don't condone violence at all. It's just a funny meme. Okay, that's your boy taking down corrupt prosecutors, Bragg and Smith. It's funny. Okay, but I don't condone political violence at all. It's fake. It's wrestling. It's fake. Danny M says, any word from the Supreme Court? Nothing yet. And Christina says, Christina H, good gouge, Robert. Good gouge. Thank you. You're welcome for the gouge. We've got Spud says, Rob, I'd like to go to Vegas, but the rates are too high. Do you have any pull with 45? Can you get a discount code for Trump Tower? I don't think so. You're right. It is a little expensive. I was looking at those rooms. I was like, woo, this is expensive, but we're doing it to save America. Elevator Man, what's up? Good to see you. We got Salty Sarge says, Cohen thought he was playing in New York City by association. He was wrong. And as being broke, didn't he have $1 million for a taxi medallion? I feel like he was kind of moving a bunch of stuff around. One of those guys where it's like he moved 100,000 over here and then 100,000 over here. I need, now I'm broke and I need this now over here and I need this over here. Shenanigans. And so he's just, everything's urgent because he's, playing everybody, so to speak. You know those people. You've seen them. So, all right. And that feels like it's Michael Cohen. That, my friends, is it for us on X. Of course, if you want to follow us, there it is. Rob Govea. ESQ is where you can do that. And then there are also other great watchers out there in the X wild. We'd love you to follow, connect with, make some friends, and have some fun. We got WatcherLodge.com, our Sovereignty Saturday events. Every Saturday, we talk about sovereignty and self-development, talk about solutions to a lot of the things that are problematic in our country. How can we be stronger, more resilient, more anti-fragile, while all of the rest of this madness continues ahead? We talk about that at the Lodge. We also have our meetup, June 29th, Trump Hotel, Las Vegas. It is TBD exactly where and when and what we're doing, but if you want to join us, RSVP at WatcherLodge.com and get your calendar marked. We also have RobertGovea.com. Our daily newsletter email goes out from there. We have what the heck is going on? Our show reports are over there. Our PDFs are up there. Our merch store and our show calendar. Check it out, RobertGovea.com. WatchingTheWatchers.locals.com is where we are going right now to take some comments and to debrief on the show. We'd love to have you join us. We do streams in the morning, streams on Saturday. We have the best community ever. Come join us, WatchingTheWatchers.locals.com. Before we go over there, I want to thank the mods and the meme smiths who keep this place nice and orderly and modding the fort down for us. We got this one from Donut Mind Me is here clipping for us. Economy Pilot, Dog Digger, Jan Eck, Zach Nichols, Ronnie Cole, our friend Playing Hooky, Just Cause, and K Bean in the house. We also have our meme smiths. You saw Glocky out there. Geegum Geegum, Nathan N810, and Sleepy Dog Lee. We got, hey, it's Kelly. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. It's been a year already? Are you kidding me? What the heck? So Kelly R. adopted a golden doodle, Pico, from Mama Govea's litter, and 1 year old today, 1 year birthday. How did that time go so fast? The Watcher's dog. He's been fantastic, man. They're such good dogs. Yeah, they're great dogs. My mama's got 2 of them, and they're just beautiful dogs. What a tremendous birthday. Happy birthday to Pico and to the Kelly household. The Watcher puppy celebrating a beautiful birthday, and I'm sure you guys are having just a ton of fun. Great update. Thanks for that. I'm going to have to tell my mama. We got what's up? We got this one from Rick Donner. Says, I held a clearance for 20 plus years. Really complicated. I imagine that. Yeah. Yeah, the layers of complexity, I would imagine, are very complicated. And 20 years is a long time to see all the changes, the developments, the new technology, right? All the stuff, the different people in charge. You've seen a lot, Rick. Very cool. What's up, Demo? Says, you seen the new song from Afro Man about Hunter B? Yeah, we did. We played some of that on Locals. And what was the thing? Something Hunter Biden, but then he got high, whatever that was. What's up? Being Still says, I always look forward to seeing my UPS guy. My UPS guy is great. Yeah, he's great. And he's got such good energy all the time. He's always just like on a mission. I love it. This old guy says, Vegas hotels charge way too much for the room. They don't really want you to spend any time occupying. It seems anti-productive. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. So we're staying in Trump Hotel because, it's nice to patronize the man. And I think it is also, it's going to be a fun experience. I've never stayed at a Trump property ever. So I'm going to go do that. And going to happen to be in Vegas. And it's going to be nearby the event I'm going to. So it feels right. Election season. And we're going to do some live streams from Trump International Hotel. It's going to be great. So for us, it's about the experience. But I think you're right. Not going to be in the room a whole lot, ideally. But we'll be on the property. And we'll, depending on how many people come to our meetup, we'll talk about what kind of space we'll need. Figure that all out later, too. So more is coming. More to be revealed. Thank you, this old guy, for sending those in, my friends. That is it for us on the day. It's Wednesday, no trial in session, obviously, but we'll be back tomorrow for an amazing Thursday, and we will have trial in session. It's going to be day 10 of the Bragg prosecution. We're going to be here covering it, and we hope to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.